Jai Ma Kali and Jai Baduka Bhairav. Once, an evil demon named Raktabindu rose to power. He strode through the earth, the heavens, and the underworld, wreaking havoc wherever he went. No one could destroy him because every time a god attacked him and shed a drop of his blood on the ground, that drop would give rise to another demon until there were hundreds, thousands of Raktabindus everywhere. The gods and human beings alike ran and prayed to the goddess, the mother of the universe, to protect them. But she appeared not as Durga, not in her gentle form. This time, the mother of the universe appeared as Ma Kali. Dark as night, terrible and beautiful. Her wild hair fanned out behind her. Her pink tongue stuck out of her mouth as she roared in fury. She held a bowl in one hand and a sword in the other. She went looking for Raktabindu, and when she found him, she attacked with her sword, and she caught every drop of his blood in her bowl. And then, so that not a single drop would fall to the ground and lead to more demons, to more evil, she drank the demon's blood. She did this again and again and again. Soon, every Raktabindu and every drop of his blood was eliminated. But Kali's fury had not abated. She stomped on the earth, causing earthquakes with every step. Volcanoes erupted with her anger. The earth began to cry out. People began to cry out. Even the gods were afraid. They ran to Shiva. They said, "The mother of the universe is angry. She cannot shed her Kali form. So we turn to you, the father of the universe, to protect us from her wrath. Please, you must do something." Shiva did not know what to do. Kali had never been so terrible before. How could he quell her fury? He thought the only thing that would make Kali listen and turn back into Durga is the cry of her child. But right now, all of her children are so afraid, and none of their voices can reach her. No one is brave enough to go near Kali in this form, none of her children. So, Shiva decided that he would take on the form of a baby. Here's the thing. We've all heard of little baby Krishna, little baby Ganesha, little baby Rama, even little Sita. But none of us have ever heard of baby Shiva. This is because Shiva has always been, and he always will be. He is without beginning and without end. He is the supreme being. So, Shiva had to think long and hard about how to become a baby. How does someone so powerful act like he's not so strong after all? He thought and willed the Ganga upon his head into a little trickle. And he thought and he willed the vast serpent Vasuki around his neck into the size of a tiny little earthworm. And the Damaru, which resounded through the universe, he shrank down into a teeny tiny little drum. And his trident, he turned into a little plaything. And his own massive universal power, he began to shrink down, down, down into a little baby. And this baby Shiva plopped himself down on the ground and sat. And he looked around and he thought about all the babies that he might have seen as he wandered the earth. And he thought about what they would do. And when he saw Kali approaching from the distance, still roaring with anger, he knew what he had to do. First, he threw his Trishul on the ground. Step 1, tantrum. Then he threw his drum on the ground. And then He did the one thing that always seemed to work and always got all those mothers on earth to listen to their children. He let out the loudest wail, the biggest scream you could imagine, and he said, "Ma!" And Gali stopped mid-step, and she looked around. She had heard something despite the blood rushing in her ears. And when she looked closer, she saw someone teeny tiny in her path. And she walked closer and closer, and all the gods and all the humans held their breath. Would she stomp on little baby Shiva? But no, Gali stopped, and she bent down, and she looked deep into the eyes of little baby Shiva. And when baby Shiva let out a tear, "Ma," Gali melted, and her terrible arms with the bowl of blood and the sword disappeared, and her warm, loving arms wrapped around baby Shiva. And she held him close, and she said, "Don't cry, it's okay." And then she turned to all her children on the earth and in the heavens who were afraid, and she said, "Don't be afraid, don't be afraid. I'm here to protect you." And that, my friends, is how Shiva became known one time as Batuka Bhairava, Bala Bhairava, little baby Shiva, as his sweet doll shows us. And he found a way to calm down the mother of the universe in her most terrible form. I hope we'll meet again soon for another story. Jai Ma Kali and Jai Batuka Bhairav.